What's up guys, this is Dark Magician here and welcome to another KOF video. Okay, so the third API 15 has been added to the global version and everybody have been waiting impatiently for him. Okay, this fighter of course is Mukai. So today's video will be a character introduction for Mukai. Okay, so Mukai is an API 15 gank. Okay, his skills, of course, you might expect that his skills, like everything, is pretty moderate. His crit power and block power slightly higher than the others, but still everything is quite moderate. His feature is Rock Golem, pretty much because, you know, I'm sure you've seen him reincarnating, like getting back into a golem form and then getting back again in the battlefield. Okay, now of course this will be explained later on with the skills. Now let's start with the fates. First we have Dark Boss team. We need Mukai, Magaki and Psyche giving attack plus 25%. Earth Shakers. We need Mukai, Orochi Yashiro and Daimon. We need it gives us attack plus 25%. And Steel Body we need Mukai, Zero, Brian, Joe and Chang giving HP by 25%. Okay, so you can see pretty much that basically two fates are quite easy to unlock, and a third one, the first one needs like two API 15s along with him, so it might be a little bit hard, but still it can be achievable. Of course, he uses his weapon, Dry Rock Bracelet, and he uses Earth Shaking Badge and Judo Tome. Now his fight soul is called Rock Tiger Soul. Now what is the Rock Tiger Soul? It says recover 55% rage, 55 rage when enemy or ally dies, and greatly increase starting grace. So you can see clearly that this is a tiger soul and a wild bear soul at the same time. Okay, now let's start with the skills. First, his passive, Magic Reincarnation. So after Mukai dies, he takes on a golem form, restoring some HP, and then reincarnate in original form after one round. Inherits 100% of golden form HP and 200% rage. Okay, so after he dies, he doesn't fade away from the battlefield right away. He will resurrect as a golem form, you know, the stone form, where he restores some HP, and then after that round he will reincarnate back in his original form after one round. And after that, you know, he gets back in his original form, he will get 100% of the HP from the golem form and 200% rage, you know, the rage that he already had in his golem form. Okay, and after he reincarnates, or before he reincarnates right away, he will get additional 20% control. And while in golem form, he will get additional 40% resistance rate and 40% defense. So you can see that the golem form is quite tanky and it's quite hard to defeat basically. So most likely he will, the golem form will persist, and then he will reincarnate again back to his original form after that. Okay, and after that he will absorb, of course, during the golem form he will absorb rage from the attacker. Now after reincarnation he will get additional 30% attack and 30% HP drain, okay, after he reincarnates. And of course Mukai is immune to petrification, okay, the effect given by other Mukais basically. Now at level 1 you can see that he can recover HP, 40% HP after reincarnation. Of course, as we level the skill up, the value will increase for sure. Now his second passive, attack and HP enhancement. Again, you can see at level 1 it's increased own attack and HP by 5%, and also recover 40% HP after reincarnation. So add to the amount of HP he had during his golem form, he will also recover 40% additional HP after the reincarnation. Okay. Now his minor skill, Rock Slide. Attack a single enemy, decreasing target 50% defense, which is a very good value, 35% chance to stun, and deals additional 40% damage against petrified targets, you know, the targets that are affected by the petrification, or when Mukai turns the opponents to stones. Okay, also will trigger skill every round after reincarnation. So after he transforms to the golem form and then gets back to his original form, he will trigger skill every round after that. Okay, now his ultimate, Earth Shattering. Attack all enemies, 30% chance to randomly petrify 2 enemies. Okay, so what does petrification does? Okay, or what does it do? Petrified targets basically cannot block or skill block, so no blocks will be available for the opponent in his petrified form. Use rage, so rage cannot be increased as well, and will decrease 15% resistance rate for the petrified targets, of course, and the effect cannot be dispelled. Now I think here they mean that it can be dispelled by the first generation debuffers, debuffer cleansers, you know, if you want to call them, like Ignis, like Instinct, like Shermie. Okay, those cannot dispel that debuff, but later on when we get Instinct Iori, for example, when we get Ganiko with the weapon, of course, those can actually remove the petrification effect on the allies. Okay, now the more enemies there are, the higher the chance to petrify. So it works well like at first rounds basically. Max 50%, and the fewer the enemies, the higher the damage. So either way, you know, you gain this effect. If you had like more enemies at the beginning, yeah, the chance of petrification will be high, and if there wasn't much like a lot of opponents, the ultimate can deal more damage instead. Now after reincarnation will deal 40% extra damage to petrified targets, and effects of course are increased after awakening the weapon. Okay, so that was pretty much his skill set. Now we're gonna go to gates now. Since I got him in my C account, we can go to his gates right away from here. Okay, now starting with his lake element or second gate, Smacks, I don't know why it's called Smacks basically. Now his passive, basically it's the same thing at the beginning, but instead when he transforms to his golem form, he will get 45% resistance and defense instead of 40%. Okay, and after that, the last part, Mukai can share his buff with surrounding allies, and it lasts for 2 rounds. Now basically we said that after reincarnation he will gain additional 35% attack and 35% HP, of course, HP drain after his lake element. It was 30%, I think. Now the nice thing about it is that he can share his buff with the surrounding allies, so he can give 35% attack and 35% HP drain to his surrounding allies. That's a very nice addition to the passive. So pretty much you might want to run Mukai, for example, at the middle row, because you know he will be surrounded by 3 allies, for example. So this way you can benefit from you know, from this part of the passive. Okay, we're gonna talk about like his placement in the formation later on after the gates anyway. Of course, recover 50% HP after reincarnation. It was 40% before the second gate. So yeah, just a small addition as well. Now his thunder element or his skill, attack single target, dealing additional 15% of HP lost by Mukai in additional damage. So he will deal additional 50% the HP lost by Mukai, okay, as additional damage. Decrease 50% defense, 45% chance to stun, and the petrified targets will receive 60% additional damage. Okay, and of course the skill will be there all the times after reincarnation. So it's just like an additional buff in the numbers. Okay. Lastly, his smacks, basically he can attack all enemies, of course, 30% to randomly petrify 3 enemies instead of 2. Of course, the petrified targets, as we said, cannot block or skill block and use rage, and will decrease 15% resistance rate, so same thing. And the effect cannot be dispelled. Again, as we said, it can be dispelled later on. But okay, so that's the same part. Now after reincarnation he will use heavy or heave, I don't know, collapse, cannot be blocked, 30% chance to randomly petrify 3 enemies. Of course, the more damage, the higher chance that the more enemies there are, the higher chance to petrify, and the fewer enemies, the higher damage the ultimate will deal. Of course, deal additional 60% damage to the petrified targets. Now, when Mukai dies, I think this part is what kind of like gives the smacks its importance. A random ally will be immune to petrification permanently and get 15% resistance rate for 2 rounds, and randomly decrease 1 enemy 300 rage. So pretty much this effect will be good like if Mukai dies early in the match. Okay, so this way he can benefit give this benefit to another ally, like he becomes immune to petrification and gains like additional 15% resistance rate, and of course decrease one enemy 300 rage, which is a cool addition to his ultimate. Okay, so now where does Mukai perform best? Okay, and where should we place him in the team? Now, as you said, you kind of see that he can be used as a tanky character. Okay, more like he performs more as a tank more than a DPS fighter. Okay, so pretty much you see everybody running him at the front row. Okay, because you know he can because he doesn't die directly. Of course, he will resurrect as his golem form, and then he will get back again and gain some HP drain, and you know everything. He's kind of persistent, so pretty much you would like to run him at the front row because of that. And again, because of that passive, you might want to have him at the middle front to be specific, because you know he can share that additional HP drain and attack buff with the surrounding allies. So at the middle, front middle, he will have like he will be surrounded by 3 allies. So maybe this is the perfect way to give it the better use of that passive. Okay. Now, in which teams does Mukai perform well? Now, pretty much because of his soul, because it's a tiger. Of course, since we don't have much API 15 tigers at the moment, so Mukai will be a really good addition to Tiger Genesis. Of course, pretty much all Tiger Genesis teams are getting him at the moment in global. So yeah, he performs really good there. And after that, he can be in Wildbird Genesis, because well, he's a Wildbird after, you know, he can make an ultimate right away when the match starts, so he can be in a Wildbird team for sure. He's a really good one there as well. Now, of course, 4 souls, but I'm not gonna mention 4 souls every time, because 4 souls is quite you know, any fighter can literally fit in the 4 souls, because you're gonna need every 5 soul to be there. So yeah, I'm just gonna spot the light on the ones that really that can bring out the best of Mukai, basically. Okay. Okay, so lastly, I would like to just give a quick look on his runes. Now, which are the best runes for Mukai? Now, I'm sure you thought of this idea that Mukai is a better replacement of Kula. You can see that he's very similar to Kula, just a better version of her. Now, as we know that Kula performs best like everywhere, and she can be used for damage, for control, and for tanking at the same time. So yeah, Mukai is kind of the same thing. So pretty much you have a lot of options for runes. Now, I'm running Chaos runes on Kula for extra control. For example, you can see it increases the own control for the fighter, and lastly, it will, you know, there is a probability to make additional CC, not only the petrification, but any additional type of CC like silence, freeze, paralysis, you know, everything. There is a specific value to do this at the same time. So especially because Mukai also hits like all the opponents, so chaos can be really cool on him. Now, another one you might want to run, maybe something like Wolf's Anger if you want him to do more damage, especially because he's considered as a wild bear. So yeah, Wolf's Anger would deal good damage for the opponents. Okay, so Wolf's Anger can be another option. And pretty much you can go for Earth's Heart, I think, because let me check. Yeah, on odd rounds. So Earth's Heart if you want him to be more resistant, but I don't know, you know, it's up to you actually, you know, everybody has an opinion about it. I would say Wolf's Anger or Chaos can be the best ones for him. Okay guys, so that was pretty much everything about Mukai. I hope you learned something. Good luck for everybody who's going for him in global, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.